All right, we're live streaming the meeting. Got it. We're going. Good afternoon, everybody. It's afternoon. It's still October 13th here in Denver, Colorado. And good afternoon, everybody. There, I fixed that. So my echo doesn't come through the Facebook. So I'm streaming live on Facebook by myself. This is being together with Sabelle and James, but Sabelle is not here, and that's kind of sad. But Sabelle has had a rough day, and I'm sure probably any of you who've traveled, especially if you've traveled internationally, you can relate to this. So Sabelle she can tell you all about this tomorrow as well, but she went to the airport this morning in Paris about 4:30 in the morning, and her plane was delayed or canceled. Her flight was canceled, and so she waited all day there. She went from 4:30 in the morning till 6 at night or something, and then she went back home to her friend Amina's house to sleep. But that's even for the best of us, those of us who work on our being and pride ourselves on being unflappable in terms of our reactions to things. That's enough to test anybody's patience. I'm sure you've had the experience where you've been in a situation where it's very crowded and there's nothing there's no control. You seem like you have no control over the situation. So, Sabelle, my heart is with you. And Sabelle asked me to just go ahead and record an episode anyway, so we have an episode every day, like our commitment. So I'm doing that. And Sabelle, maybe you'll owe me one someday. Maybe we'll do a Jamesless being together with Sabelle and James instead of the Sabelle-less one like we're doing today. Anyway, I'm not sure what I wanted to talk about today. Maybe just continue a little bit about what I talked about yesterday, and I incorporated that into a speech I gave to Toastmasters this morning about doing the work of self-love, like deliberately creating self-love, as opposed to deliberately creating loving kindness. And for me, what I've been doing since probably March or April of this year was I went on social media and I was deliberately creating loving kindness. And I was doing that by deliberately putting hearts next to the post. Instead of like or a thumb up, I'd put a heart, right? I'd sign any comment or any post that I made myself with loving you and then a heart, JECTWBCC, which means James Ernest Klein, the world's best creative coach. So what I'm doing by doing that is I'm deliberately spreading loving kindness. I'm deliberately manufacturing loving kindness. But one of the things that I realized in doing this is I wasn't deliberately generating self-love. And so that's where this next practice comes into play. So generating self-love, one of the ways you can do that, and this was something I mentioned yesterday, is you could, like I'm looking right now at a Zoom and I'm seeing myself on the Zoom and I'm saying, I love myself, right? I'm looking right at myself on the Zoom because I'm the only one here in this room, and I'm saying, wow, I love myself. And then I'm saying in second person, James, you love yourself, right? Then I'm saying in third person, there's James, he loves himself. So I'm deliberately creating self-love as a practice by doing that. And you can do that on a Zoom call, right? You could do that on a Zoom call, just looking at your image. You could do this on your phone. Most of us have our phone with us wherever we go, right? So we could go onto the phone and put it in selfie mode, like it's in selfie mode right now. There I'm looking at myself. Oh, you can see the phone. There's the phone. So I'm looking at myself on the phone and saying, I love myself. James, you love yourself. James loves himself. So I'm doing it in first person, second person, and third person, and deliberately creating loving kindness. So that's one of the practices that I'm starting to implement right now, and I'm going to do it till the end of the year, at least. Maybe longer than that. So I'm going to deliberately manufacture self-love by whenever I look in the mirror, I tell myself I love myself. Okay. Another thing you can do is just deliberately have I love myself or some other loop going on as kind of your default in the background. And so one of the things I suggest, since I'm musical, I haven't done this on any episodes that Sabelle and I have done together, but I'm a ukulele player, so I like to play ukulele and sing. And I was reminded when I was doing this of Sam Cooke's version of "I Love You for Sentimental Reasons," and I think Nat King Cole did that. But what Sam Cooke does at the beginning is he sings, let's see if I can get the right note. I love you, 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 I love you. I love you, 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 I love you. Right? So he's singing I love you over and over again, and he's manufacturing that kind of feeling. So I would encourage you to do that as well. Manufacture loving kindness in your life. And I'm sure Sabelle did this, and she's going to have to tell you all about this tomorrow, but I'm sure she practiced loving kindness in her sojourn at the airport. I think it was harder for her when she had to call her daughter, her 3-year-old daughter, and tell her she wasn't coming home tonight. And so I really felt for that. That's just really, sent a lot of love, because that's, it's just a rough situation when you're stuck in an airport, you're not sure what's going on, and relativity, right? The hours go very slowly. The minutes go very slowly when you're waiting in a line, or you're waiting for the status of a flight that's delayed or canceled, to figure out what you're going to do and when you're going to finally get out of there. So, it is an opportunity, but it's a challenging opportunity to practice loving kindness towards yourself and to practice loving kindness towards the people who are with you in that situation. A couple of other things that I just wanted to, talk about a little bit on a kind of slightly different subject. I'm currently reading, I'm a book junkie, so I read books all the time. And that's one of the reasons why Sabelle and I think, get along so well, is because we're both bookworms. We're both book junkies. We both like to dive into a bunch of books and read a bunch of different books over and over again. So I'm reading a book called The Leader and the Coach. It's by Will Kuiper and Steve Chandler. And one of the things that he says, I want to share you this story because this was very illuminating to me. This was very enlightening to me. So Steve Chandler says that whatever system we have is perfect for the results we're getting right now. So it's an interesting way to think about it, right? So rather than berate yourself or shame yourself for getting results that are inconsistent with what your goals are, or inconsistent with your attitude about yourself, so rather than blaming yourself for not being good enough, look at the system. Look at the system you're using. And what example that Steve Chandler gave is a man named Nathaniel Branden. I think I've read a couple of his books as well. Nathaniel Branden was relating a story where his morning ritual was he'd fill up a cup of coffee to the brim, take it over to his office and start working. And what was happening is, in the distance from the kitchen to his office, there were little brown spots on the white carpet, right? Because when he was walking over there with his cup of coffee filled to the brim, little droplets were coming out and splashing on the floor, right? And creating stains on the floor. And so what Nathaniel Branden relates is, no matter how hard he tried, he never could seem to be conscientious enough to eliminate those spots. He never could seem to be careful enough to eliminate those spots, right? So no matter how much he tried to discipline himself to be careful when he's walking from the kitchen to his office, they just were there. Okay, but here's the interesting thing. It wasn't because of any personal shortcoming on his part. It was because the system he had set up was giving the perfect results for him. Okay, and his system was he was filling up his coffee cup to the brim, right? And so as he's walking along, of course it's going to slosh. Of course it's going to slosh, and droplets are going to fall down to the floor and stain the carpet, right? Okay, so instead of shaming himself or beating himself up for not being good enough, he changed the system. And it was as simple as, instead of filling the coffee cup up to the brim, he just filled his coffee cup up 2/3 of the way. Then it wouldn't slosh around as much. Then the droplets wouldn't come out and stain the carpet. So all he had to do was change the system. It wasn't about changing about addressing his personal shortcomings or how he's not measuring up to his ideal. It was simply about changing the system. And I would encourage you to think about, what kind of systems do you have in your life, and what results are they giving you? Because remember, whatever system you have in place is giving you the exact results it needs to giving. It's giving you the perfect results. So what systems do you have in place? I have a lot of great systems in place in my life, but I also have a lot of not so great systems, right? One of my great systems is what I do every morning is I get up and I read the back cover and the first, the Before You Begin section of a book called The Ultimate Coach by Amy Hardison and Alan D. Thompson. This has some questions that I can apply to my life. So I'll read those questions, and then I'll read a chapter of that book. And then I'll read a chapter of another book. So in the morning, first thing when I'm getting up, I'm feeding my brain with knowledge. I'm feeding my brain with positive message. So that's a system that works for me. Another system that I have in place that works really well for me is I do yoga every single day. There's no excuse for me. I do it no matter what. Today, I had my Toastmasters meeting early in the morning, so I couldn't do it as early in the day as possible, but I got to it by, I think, 11 in the morning. It's like my day is not complete unless I do yoga. By the way, it was quite the workout this morning. I got to say, it was quite the workout. A lot of forward folds in one-legged pigeon, a lot of dancer pose, a lot of balancing on one leg, a lot of warrior three, a lot of stuff that really got into my legs a little bit. But I got to say, the system I have for yoga is giving me the results I want. So it's not something where I'm obsessed with yoga. It's just something that I do every day. And I notice that my body gets leaner and fitter and more flexible, and I have more energy, and I feel better in my body every day just because of that system, right? A system I have that I'm not so proud of, I think I might have mentioned this on one of our episodes of Being Together, it's a system of cutting myself down and berating myself. So I can't remember if I mentioned this here, but I'm going to see The Who. I'm going to see The Who in Denver, Colorado next Monday. And so I bought a ticket. And when I bought a ticket, I didn't realize until afterwards that I'd bought a ticket on a ticket reseller site, StubHub, I think, rather than Ticketmaster. So I paid $28 more than I needed to pay for that very same ticket. And I was beating myself up about that. I was saying, James, why couldn't have you done your due diligence? Why were you so stupid about that? What, you just ruined this. You just threw away $28. I got very mad at myself considering the situation. And so that's one of the systems that I have in place that I could probably work on. And one of the ways I do it is just what I mentioned before, deliberately creating self-love by saying, I love myself, I accept myself no matter what. I'm patient, I'm kind with myself. I'm loving to myself. All right, so hopefully these are some ideas that can help you. And Sabelle, I sure missed you today, and my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry you had a rough day. And, we will see. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be back. We'll be back in order, and we'll be back in shape, and we'll be back doing our daily conversations. But man, what a rough day. It's like my heart goes out to you for having to wait that long, and then missing your kids. It's just, man. All right. Well, I'm gonna cut it off now. It looks like I did talk for about 15 minutes, so that's very nice. Hopefully, some of you, if you're watching this, you found this illuminating, you found this useful, and loving you all, Sabelle, especially you. Best wishes to you for safe travel and as scheduled travel tomorrow. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow. Okay, take care. Loving you.